Lisa Sherman, and I'm the CEO of Ellementa. We are producing these live women's wellness webinars, or maybe I would rather call them online gatherings, because webinars is sounding really formal and we don't have slides. This is about coming together and sharing our innate wisdom and our learnings, and bringing teachers and authors and experts here to connect with you and to let you ask questions about your health and wellness. We have a variety of topics now. We started off as a company to educate women about cannabis and CBD, but we're really trying to expand that to just general wellness. We're all kind of in this very strange boat together, and we all want to feel better, because I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty out of sorts. So I wanted to first tell you what's coming up. On May 17th, which is a Sunday, we've got Lisa Davis talking about her book, and it's called Clean Eating and Dirty Sex. Okay, and then following it up, excuse me, following it up on Sunday the 24th, I don't know, there's a little bit of a theme here. It is, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Oh, oh. It's a book in Dr. Seuss rhyme about orgasms. And that is with Nicole Hodges, the author. And Mary Jane Gibson is going to be a guest on May 27th. She is an actress. She's also a co-host of the podcast Weed and Grub. Grub and Weed. And she's going to be talking about women and the culture of cannabis. So it's a little bit about the history of women in cannabis, but also women's role in the cannabis industry. And then on the 31st, Sunday, a friend of mine who used to be in Hawaii and is now in New Mexico, her name is Roxanne Darling. She's going to be talking about relationships and how to avoid the blame game. So really running the gamut. And the wellness is not just about our physical wellness, it's also about our emotional wellness, our spiritual wellness. And speaking of wellness, we are now going to dive into the topic of the day, which is immunity and herbs and immunity, with Lori Barron. Did I say that right? Your last name?
Immunity, perfect.
Okay, good.
Absolutely perfect.
I always forget to ask for the pronunciation, which is really weird because everyone pronounces my name incorrectly. My name is actually pronounced Aliza. Folks often say it the other way, and I don't say that so people don't accidentally hear it and then remember the wrong pronunciation. So
you got it perfect.
Okay, good. That's great. And I met Lori through Tracy Brown of the company that the two of you co-founded. Do you have another co-founder that we need to?
And Judith, who is our formulator.
Oh, Judith, of course. I met Judith.
With three women.
Three women founded a company called Priya Apotheca. And I met Tracy and Judith at a book tour event when I was on the road for cannabis and CBD for health and wellness. I don't know if you know how we met. We met in Malibu. And so they gave me some samples of the Priya Apotheca skincare line, and they're just gorgeous. I literally, that's the word that always comes to mind. They're gorgeous. They smell amazing. They are incredible on the skin. And so when Tracy said, do you want Lori on your on your event? And I'm like, yes, of course, this will be great. So I don't like reading the bio. I would love for you to share with everybody who you are, what you do. So just to set the stage for this conversation we're going to have about herbs and immunity.
Great. Well, first of all, I'm so honored to be here. Eliza, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk to everybody about herbs. My background goes back about 20 years when I actually just started playing with plants and herbs and didn't want to go the kind of pharmaceutical route. So I just started experimenting with herbs and had a profound experience with acupuncture for PMS that I had suffered with my whole adolescence into early adulthood. And had such a miraculous experience with it, I decided to go into traditional Chinese medicine school to learn acupuncture and herbalism. So I spent 4 years doing that and received a master's degree in traditional Chinese medicine, and then just have continued to learn over the past really 20 years. I entered school in 2000, graduated in 2004, and just have kind of been on a perpetual journey of learning from all of these beautiful plants and all of these amazing traditions, such as Ayurvedic and South American and what I call the wise woman tradition. So just really followed my passion to learn about the plants. And I think it's something that I'll just end up doing for the rest of my life. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background.
Well, the profound experience, I was telling you right before we started filming that I had a profound experience myself where I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome back in the late 80s, early 90s, and was really suffering. And I would have to, well, I was falling asleep at work on my desk, and I was in sort of this, what I would call into your bone marrow pain. Like I couldn't, it was so nonspecific and so everywhere. And I would have to, after work, just lay in a dark, quiet room. I couldn't do anything. And I started to look up herbs because I didn't want to take pills and pharmaceuticals, and found a book at this little independent bookstore in New York City. And it was about herbs and natural remedies for AIDS patients. And I thought, well, that's very extreme, but what I have is an immune issue. And I began taking things like echinacea and astragalus. I began eating macrobiotic for a while and just trying to change my thinking about medicine. So that profound experience, that transformative experience, really gave me a sense early on about the power of plants. I think we talked about earlier, again, before we started recording, our little back chat, about the energies of Chinese medicine. So you said that you studied Chinese medicine. Is that a good place to start to explain our relationship with herbs and why herbs work for us?
I mean, the beauty of Chinese medicine is, I mean, it's a 5,000-year-old lineage, and they have just done a really beautiful job of capturing it and allowing that lineage to continue to live on, a lot of which we've lost with the Western herbs. So it has such a beautiful way of showing us, delineating that we're more than just our physical bodies. And they do this by really explaining the different levels of energy that are within us. And then we use herbs and plants and acupuncture to really support and really create longevity around all of those energies. So I would love to explain them because it gives us a framework with which to know your own body, and how to, it gives you a framework to know which herbs necessarily to pick for what energies might be a little bit deficient.
Okay.
So, yeah, sound good?
Yeah, energies. Yeah, sounds really good.
So the first energy that they talk about in Chinese medicine is called the Jing. And it is like the deepest stored primordial life force energy. It is the energy that was passed on to you at the moment of your conception. So the health of your father and the health of your mother when you were conceived, literally that energy becomes your Jing, becomes your life force. And so when we're born, we're literally born with a certain amount of Jing. And when you see people who are kind of frail, children who are sick a lot, this is because oftentimes they were born with a Jing deficiency to begin with. So those are the type of people that, you know, really from an early stage need to begin to cultivate and build their Jing energies. And then as we grow, and because of the Western society that we live in, people tend to be draining their Jing all of the time. And Jing is often drained by overwork, overstress, anxiety. For women, pregnancy and childbirth is pure Jing. You know, we grow an organ, we have a child, we breastfeed, and this is all super draining to our Jing. And it's why you see women partum be incredibly exhausted. When we drain our Jing, we become adrenally fatigued. You know, you see things like fibromyalgia, where the life force energy is just not there anymore. Excuse me. And this can also have an effect on our musculoskeletal system, which is supported by our Jing, on our ability to think and focus, because our brain is supported by our Jing. So one of the ways that you can tell if your Jing is drained is you get a really good night's sleep and you wake up and you're still exhausted.
Okay. Can you really quickly spell, is it Jing as in?
Yeah, J-I-N-G.
J-I-N-G. Okay, just making sure. I'm going to type.
So I'll tell you, like, two herbs that I really go to if you're feeling like this could be you. One that's really profound for women is called Heshou, spelled Heshouwu, because it really strongly helps replenish Jing and also replenish blood. And women tend to get blood deficient too because of their menstrual cycles. Jing is your longevity. So if you don't replenish your Jing, you're going to see much quicker degeneration and aging in your body. If you have strong Jing, you're going to feel strong. You're going to have good stamina. Your spine is going to feel good. We see a lot of people as they age, their spine begins to degenerate.
Yeah. I'm sitting up straight now when you mentioned spine.
Yeah. So it has a lot to do with that. So those are the things, like Jing is the foundation. So you always want to be building your Jing, and you want to, when you are tired, when your body is telling you to rest and restore and replenish, you need to rest and restore and replenish and not try and push through that, because you will always begin to drain your Jing if you do that. Okay. The next level of energy that most of us in the West have heard about is called Chi. So your Chi is it's your more surface level of energy. It is the energy that we're deriving from our food. It's the energy that we derive when we do breath work or yoga or Tai Chi. So Chi is also our immune system. It's our protection from microbes in our environment. So, and Chi, when our Chi is strong, then we have the energy to output, to do and achieve and exercise and create. We have all of this Chi. This is our creative force. And so if we're eating well, if we're taking herbs, if we're resting when we need to rest, then our Chi is going to be strong. And also, let me tell you, food is really paramount, because a huge amount of our immune system is in our gut, and we know that now. If we're taking care to eat well and nourishing our gut biome, then that's going to also strengthen our Chi tremendously, which strengthens our immune system tremendously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chi is the formal spelling is Qi, right? Not CHI.
Both are right. Both are correct. Yeah.
Okay.
One's just Chinese, one's Japanese way of spelling it.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Chi, when you come see an acupuncturist, this is what we're working with. So the Chi is what runs in the meridian systems of our body. And you can think of that as like your circulatory system for your energy. So when you go get acupuncture, this is what they're treating. Where the Chi or energy is stagnating in your body, you're going to have pain.
Yeah.
You're going to have dis-ease or disharmony, think headaches. And this is why acupuncture is so profound. You go in with the needles and also with herbs, and you open up the flow of energy in those channels, and then that relieves that stagnation and everything is flowing more freely again. And that's your Chi.
Yes, having experienced a lot of acupuncture, I can definitely attest to those blocked areas. I used to be like, oh, what's that? It's so intense. Yeah. And so sort of concentrated and then radiating in some ways. And they would say, it's your Chi, it's blocked. And this is a blocked area. And we're now going to release that.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
You can. Yeah. And it's really profound. I tell people that I work on all the time, like, if you take the time to just go in and really listen to your body, those whispers of your body, where your Chi is blocked. You can start to learn the language of your own energy system if you take the time to do that. And then you kind of empower yourself. Then I say it's like be your own medicine. You empower yourself when the chi is getting stuck to actually begin to move those again, whether you use acupressure, whether you use your breath, whether you use an herb to do that. And then if you're listening to the whispers, your body's not going to have to talk or scream in order to get your attention. So it's like
serious pain or
healthy.
serious dis-ease, as you say,
Exactly.
disease.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the two energies. So that's
one more.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
One more is called Shen. And honestly, in traditional Asian medicine, this is the most revered one. And Shen most closely translate in English to spirit. So this is your ability to know that you have a higher path and a higher purpose beyond the personality that you identify with. It is the ability to have an open heart and have compassion for one another and be able to connect and look in one another's eyes and communicate and have generosity for one another. It's our ability to see that our own path and purpose in life and make decisions that help us to align with that path and purpose of service in our life. And so when we take Shen tonics, we become much more kind of centered into our spirit and maybe making different decisions apart from the ones that we are kind of born into this construct of what a life is supposed to look like. And instead we kind of have an expanded view of how we can create in this life with communing and coming together with one another. So it's Shen to me is beautiful. And it's also the Shen herbs or the Shen tonics that are really good for stabilization of emotions and stress and grief. So if somebody is really emotionally unstable, I'll usually give them what are called Shen stabilizers to really get their emotional body stabilized. So those are the three.
How do we spell that, Shen?
S-H-E-N.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got these three energies, types of energies that Chinese medicine is based around supporting and addressing deficiencies in. What else would you say about the human body and spirit's relationship to herbs? Like, what is, how do we get, rather than, obviously we have to do our research or find somebody who is an expert in this, who has studied, but how do you get that relationship with these herbs?
It's really interesting because Chinese medicine, when I was in Chinese medical school, it was all quite textbook. We were getting it out of the textbook, and learning what the herb did from the textbook, which is really an important part. And learning what herbs move into what channels, and if they're a Jing, Chi, or Shen tonic, what treasures, they call them, what treasures do they support? But then I went and I apprenticed with an herbalist who was kind of a master in what we call the wise woman tradition of herbalism. And that opened me up to seeing a whole new relationship with herbs and plants, which I find very profound and such a deeper relationship that I always want to convey to people who I make herbs for or suggest herbs for, is that all plants that we use, they have a consciousness too. They have a spirit too. And so if we begin to take them with reverence and in a state of mind that we are actually communing with another spirit, that we are calling in to align with us and to help us balance something within us, that we make it like a meditation. And we actually go and ask that herb, can you teach me how to work with you? And when we do it in this really intentional way, we actually end up finding not only our own ability to intuitively know what we need, but to let that plant actually teach us what it can do for us as an individual, as opposed to what a textbook says. And it opens up a whole wide array of you being able to really learn one-on-one from a plant. And if you ever go to Central or South America, this is how they learned. This is how they know, in that, thousands of pharmacopoeia that are in the rainforest, and they'll all tell you it's because the plants told them.
They
They
had a
told them how
conversation with
they
the
had literally had a conversation,
That's amazing.
which is out there for, I know, a lot of people, but
I love it.
yeah.
I can understand that. I mean, right now I'm sheltering at home at my sister-in-law's, and she has an incredible garden. It's flowers and herbs. It's so many things,
Beautiful.
and I can really feel not alone in the garden, even when I'm alone. So
You can really tap into it, right? You really can tap into a sense of their spirits around you. It's so profound. And if I can impart that for everybody who's working with herbs, it, like I said, it'll just open up a whole new perspective of what these plants are and what they can do. And honestly, they want to forge this relationship with us. You know?
I like that thought. I want us to kind of get into the nitty-gritty now.
Okay.
Two things that I want to make sure we cover is, first, the times that we're in right now. To say that they're stressful is putting it mildly. I've been saying over and over again to anyone who will listen, we as a society, we as a people, as a human race, are going to be experiencing post-traumatic stress for many years after this experience. If we can get through all of this, we will be profoundly changed in a lot of ways. The way we do things, think things, perceive things, feel about things is going to be fundamentally, it is being fundamentally changed. Herbs. Can we get to some specifics about what could be extremely supportive to us? Obviously, right now, as we film during the pandemic, but also afterwards and during any kind of stressful time. You mentioned grief. I remember saying to my husband after watching my dad die over a 5-week period, I have been so completely and utterly changed down to the cellular level. I am returning to you as some other me. So in those kinds of very deep and intense times, where do you go? Which herbs?
Yeah. You know, especially with the grieving, there's definitely two aspects of what you said that I want to address. One is like what's happening now, like in our immune system, and two, what's happening really like deeply emotionally with what I call a great unraveling that's happening now. And I think with the unraveling, there's such beautiful plants that I have been going to, that literally I have cooking on my stove 24/7 that I just drink on the daily. Yeah. And one of them that we actually mentioned right before this is reishi. Reishi mushroom. It's a fungus. It is the herb of immortality. And and it's a profound teacher. But the thing about reishi is it actually hits every level. It is Jing, it is Chi, it is Shen.
Wow.
Right? Which is why it is the herb of immortality. It is a Shen tonic and it is a Shen stabilizer. And one of the reasons that I am suggesting this for so many people now is because there is so many perspectives from which to view everything that is happening on the planet right now. You know, and if we, you know, easily can watch the collapse of our normalcy and get really scared. But what reishi helps us do in building that Shen is helps us see maybe from literally like a higher perspective of some of the systems that are kind of needing to collapse because they're not in service to us as humanity.
Right.
And so if we can almost like, you know, one thing reishi has really taught me profoundly is like lean into your fear, like lean into it. It's safe to lean into your fear. You know, it's because when we have the fear and anxiety, we tense. And when we tense, everything gets stuck and it feels paralyzing. And with reishi used in that really intentional way, it can allow us to kind of soften into it and lean into it and see that we are actually safe in this moment. We don't have to fear anything. It also opens our heart. reishi. And this is really a beautiful thing. It opens our heart to have compassion for all those who are suffering. It's not about me, the individual, anymore. It's me who has the heart open, who's having compassion for what everybody is having to go through. When in history has the whole of the global population had to go through something like this at the same time. And as uncertain as it is, it's also so profound. And I think that's what reishi can really help us lean into and see. And then one other herb I want to mention, because you mentioned that grief and that broken heart, and that just like, oh, when you feel torn apart, there's an herb called vervain, Vervain. And it is literally like the healing balm of a broken heart. And like when I deeply meditated with that plant, when my heart was broken, I literally felt this almost like this really gentle little winged, almost like fairy entity going with her like threads and just weaving my heart back together. And vervain is really known for that really deep grieving, that feeling of your heart just breaking into a million pieces, which I always tell people, it's that breaking open that actually, we've heard the saying that breaking open is like all that light flooding in, and it's actually helping us to evolve to another state of being. And like you said, which I thought was really profound, Lisa, it's like, I am not the same person I was. You have actually, through that really traumatic experience, come to another side, and you have a strength within you now because of that initiation that you literally had to move through. And there's profound, profound gifts in that. And that's really what I want to impart, that you do for yourself, but also these plants do for us too. You know? Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So from a grief standpoint, the reishi mushroom
And vervain. Yeah. And
So,
one other, albizia flower is also really profound.
how do you spell that?
Albizza. It's also mimosa. Mimosa flower is another name.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So then what else could fortify us at this time? And typically for somebody who's like a lay person, well, first of all, I want to say we're not doctors, correct? You are a practicing herbalist.
Yes.
There's letters after your name. Tell me what those are.
Licensed acupuncturist.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that disclaimer for anyone. We always make this disclaimer when we speak about cannabis and CBD. We also want to make it, unless I actually have medical doctor or naturopathic physician, just to make sure that nobody just goes out and just says, okay, this is going to cure me. This is good. I just heard this on a webinar and I'm now going, all my problems will be solved. With herbs, as with any plant medicine at all, just be very careful and make sure you know what other medicines you're taking and how it might act or react with it. But
Absolutely.
that said, there are herbs that are fairly gentle and fairly well tolerated by people. Even the most innocuous one, like chamomile flower, could for anyone, but someone who's allergic to ragweed, it could be reactive depending on what they have and how everybody is different. Okay, that said, if we were to make a tea, for example, or make a topical, I think a lot of people who are very new to herbs would put something on their skin far more sooner than they would actually ingest. But what would be some other herbs that are very helpful at this time?
Let me tell you like 4 herbs that everybody knows and probably has in their kitchen and uses to cook all the time that you can also make a tea out of, or you can use a topical out of. So we'll just cover the whole thing.
I love that.
4 herbs that are easily available: rosemary, sage, oregano, and thyme. And they are so good right now. You can easily put them in some olive oil and let them infuse into the olive oil and then massage yourself with them. Super antimicrobial, all of them. They're what is considered a category of aromatic herbs. So they have a lot of volatile oils, which are essentially essential oil in them. That's why they smell so strong. So yeah, just simply massage yourself, do a little lymphatic massage. You know, your lymph carries away toxins and it fights microbes. So if you're taking care of your lymphatic system, you're going to have a much stronger immune system. And then one thing that I've told everybody through this time is if you just boil a pot of water and whatever of those 4 herbs or all of them that you have, let them boil on a pot of water and then turn it down and just let it simmer. The vapors, you know, let them vaporize through your house. Breathe them in, put a towel over your head and breathe in those vapors. Again, kills any microbes. And then you can bottle it up to that water and use it as a spritz. Use it in your car, use it on your hands as like a natural sanitizer. Take it with you if you go grocery shopping, and then just kind of spritz your whole aura. I mean, so simple, these 4 herbs, and they are profound. And then one other herb that I've been using a lot and recommending a lot is ginger.
Oh yeah, ginger tea. I've been having ginger tea, and I've been sprinkling turmeric in it for the inflammatory reduction. And rosemary would be perfect. It hadn't even occurred to me. So when you make those rosemary, simmering it down, or sage, or all of them, is that drinkable as well?
Yes.
Then? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that could be an interesting. Tea.
It might, when you simmer it, it might get like, cause you let it simmer. So it might get really strong. Cause like I said, it can get very strong. So all you would do is take a little bit and then dilute a little bit more water in it and then drink it.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. And then add some ginger, and then now you're good.
Add some honey. If you're having dryness, add honey. Honey is super lubricating and it's medicinal too.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I want to also talk about adaptogens. I've been hearing this so much more. As we expanded from cannabis and CBD into plants and plant wellness, plant medicine, I started to hear a lot more about adaptogens. And I just don't really understand what they are. But I have to mention this too, because I received a product. I do a lot of the product reviews for the Ellementa website. It's called Adapt Daily, and it's by Kiki Naturals, and it contains ashwagandha, amla berry, holy basil, and reishi, which is how we got onto the topic of reishi. These are gummies. They sort of taste almost like licorice, like black licorice in a way. And they're supposed to be daily supplements. Yeah, they smell like a gummy. So speak to us a little bit about adaptogens first, explaining the concept, and then maybe a little bit more about ashwagandha, amla berry, and holy basil. So just kind of, I'd like to have a better understanding of what I'm consuming.
Absolutely. So there's a term, the term adaptogens is basically been made for a classification of herbs that meet a certain criteria. So first of all, adaptogens, they help your body adapt to different stressors, can help your body adapt to different time zones, can help your body adapt to different foods and waters. So they basically are helping you become more adaptable to your environment. So if somebody is under a great deal of stress or overwork and they take adaptogens, their physiological response to stress is not going to be the same, which is super interesting. So they'll be able to take on more stressors without having that response of like hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. They'll actually be able to maintain, even though they have more stress, they'll be able to maintain more like equilibrium within that stress. I also use adaptogens if I'm traveling to different time zones. You're going to be eating different foods. It helps your body adapt to different time zones very quickly too. Yeah, they're really profound for so many different things. Help, for immunity. They help any kind of autoimmune disorder. They help like really rebalance the immune system too. And so to be an adaptogen, you have to be able to take them, one, as a single herb. So a lot of times we make blends so that we balance out the blend. It's going into something else, but herbs can be hot, they can be cold, they can be yin, they can be yang, and we often make formulas to balance. So it's a very balanced formula. Adaptogens you can take as a single herb, and you can take them over long periods of time, and they don't really have any side effects. You have to be careful if you're taking certain medications with everything, but in general, they're very safe to be taken long-term on their own. So that's kind of the main things that adaptogens are to be able to fit into that category. And to speak to some of the ones in there, ashwagandha, we've already talked about reishi, but ashwagandha is, God, it's used for so many things. The thing about adaptogens is they balance so many body systems,
Wow.
which is why they're so good, almost like a multivitamin in plant form. And that's what it is. So ashwagandha is famous for a lot of things. It's famous for the digestive system. It's famous for kind of like giving you a little boost in energy. I've used ashwagandha for people who are actually trying to balance their weight, whether it's trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight.
Now I have another product that I got at the Alchemist Kitchen in New York City, which is a gorgeous herbal shop.
Nice.
And it was a sleep aid, a sleep tonic with ashwagandha. So you were saying it does sort of an energy lift, but this one even says you rested. So is it because of the combination with other things that?
Yeah. And okay, so let me caveat too. So the other thing about adaptogens is they understand almost the biorhythms of your body. So you can take ashwagandha during the day and you'll actually get a little more energy.
Okay.
But if you take ashwagandha in the evening by bedtime, it'll actually help you sleep.
Wow. Okay.
So there's an intelligence to these adaptogens that knows what your body is needing, and it kind of understands the biorhythms of your body. It's kind of the same thing with your immune system. If you have an autoimmune phenomenon, right, where you're overactive, it'll actually help lower that immune response. But if you have a deficient immune system, it'll actually help heighten that immune response.
Got it. Okay.
So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. That explains it.
Yeah.
That explains
and like
it.
even in our Priya tincture, which is the part of the company that I make. So we use CBD, but I blend it with 5 different adaptogens for that same reason. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so that's adaptogens. They're very interesting to talk about because although they have their things that they're known for, textbook known for, but then they can do such a wide range of actions in order to bring our bodies into balance. And because every body is different, it'll do different things for different people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. And it's so interesting to me. Holy basil. I started to, well, my sister's a naturopath and naturopathic physician.
Beautiful.
And she recommended holy basil tea. I had never heard of it, but now I love it. But I don't know 100% exactly what it does. So holy basil.
It's such a beautiful herb, also known as Tulsi. So some people have heard of it as Tulsi. It's the same thing.
Yes.
It's a plant that's actually in the mint family, right? So if you taste it, it has that little bit of a minty flavor. To me, it is a holy herb. Like she is a holy spirit. She is a spirit of the heart through and through. Do you know who Amma is, the hugging saint? Have you heard of Amma? She comes to us. No, she travels around, but she hugs people, and she's a saint who's said to like kind of have an enlightened quality that people want to be around, and she hugs people. And she comes here once a year, but that is her herb. Like she is said to be the embodiment, kind of holy basil. Wow. And for me, the most profound effects of holy basil are on our emotional system. So soothing and so calming, and just it's almost like it imparts like the sweetness of life within us. Like things become more easeful when you're taking it. It's so good for anybody who's got a lot of stress in their life, who feels like they're overworked a lot, which is like, right, everybody I know.
I think it's all of us.
Yeah, because it just has this cooling, soothing quality. If you're a type of person too who is like ruminates a lot and thinks a lot, and their minds are always going, it really can quiet and cool down that head. So it kind of drops us from our head into our hearts, you know. And I'm definitely going like a little bit more into the spiritual aspects of it, but but those are also very physical, you know, because
Yeah.
it's this, when we can calm down and be centered and we're not feeling that stress, we can actually then achieve so much more. It's like the creativity flows. And that's another thing that I really find with Holy Basil. It's like this quality of being that Holy Spirit that just creativity flows through almost effortlessly.
Mm.
So I love that plant so much. It's so beautiful. And it actually grows around here. You can, I'm sorry, I'm in California, up in Topanga. It actually grows. Yeah. And it's beautiful. It goes really tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and the tea, I actually pick it up off of Amazon.com, and it's called Tulsi Original, I think, or Tulsi. The tea is actually, I believe, India,
Yeah.
something like
That's
that.
where it comes from. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has India in the name, and then they blend it. One of them is a blend with ginger.
Oh, nice.
One's a blend with turmeric. So it's a nice line of teas
Yeah.
that I'm able to get. There was one other ingredient, just really quickly before
Amla?
we wrap up, the amla berry.
Yeah. So amla is, it's actually in Ayurvedic medicine, it's traditionally often used with two other berries to form an herb they call triphala. And it is really for the digestive system. It's really supportive to the digestive system. Any kind of, if you get bloated, if you get indigestion, if maybe you're not extracting the nutrients from your food as well as you need to, that one's really incredible. It's incredible for the metabolism. And it's a berry, and all berries are kind of supportive to our blood too. So for women, like, yeah, in Chinese medicine, they say women are ruled by blood. So berries, they tend to be like dark red or like those purpley colors. They have lots of flavonoids in them, but they tend to really support women and our blood. And when we support our blood and when we build our blood, we tend to be more kind of luscious and vivacious, and it moistens everything. And it actually helps with libido as well. It helps with dryness that happens, you know, pre and during menopause. The berries are great for women, but they're also great when you're younger to rebuild the blood that you're losing every month. And when our blood is also strong, then also our mind and our focus is strong. So amla can help from a lot of different directions as well.
Okay.
I would consider it a chi tonic.
A chi tonic.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Pia is asking, I believe it's about the original herbs that we were talking about, vervain, albizaflower, and reishi. She was asking, how do you take them? How do you use them? You were talking about the reishi tea that you make, right?
Yeah, so I primarily use in two ways. So one, I sometimes do powdered extractions, and I do blends with powdered extractions, or I actually take like the dried raw herbs, which is, I love doing it that way. But for me, like, I really find it profound to taste the herbs. The flavors of the herbs are also really important. So to be tasting them, the first introduction is through the tongue and through smell. So when I make the teas, that's the first thing I do is smell them and then hold them in my mouth. And that's kind of like how my first introduction to getting to know them. So yeah, that's how I take them. And do I have it here? I do. So what I'll do with the dried herbs is I'll put it in a quart-sized mason jar, and then I'll do it in the evening. I'll fill it with water, and then I'll just strain off the plant material, and then I'll drink just all day. And I'll usually work with an herb or a blend of herbs for like a month or so, depending on what I'm trying to do with them. Yeah.
Nice. Now, you have your own line of products. And then if we can sort of finish off showing the Priya Apotheca products again, and maybe just say a word or two about each one of those before we close out.
Absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, my line, I've actually just changed my company name to the Gaia Guardian, but this is my immunity herb girl blend. And that is basically the mushroom. So reishi, astragalus, which we talked about earlier, reishi, astragalus, cordyceps, and chaga mushroom in there. So really incredible for the immune system. But again, the heart, the spirit, and also cordyceps is the Jing. Cordyceps is really strongly replenishing for your Jing, your adrenals. And so I make about 5 different blends of herbs for different patterns. And then I also do custom blends as well.
And it's Gaia Guardian.
Yep.
And is it GaiaGuardian.com?
Sorry, the GaiaGuardian.com.
Okay, the Gaia Guardian. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
And then also, if people are interested in knowing more on my Gaia Guardian Instagram, which is the same, I talk about different herbs on there as well.
Nice.
And on the Priya Instagram, I also do videos of the different herbs we use as well. So if you guys want to learn more. So Priya is basically an internal, external skincare beauty line that we also incorporate wellness to, which is why we have an internal component. And this is the beloved beauty potion, which I had mentioned a little bit earlier, which is CBD combined with the herbs goji, schisandra, cacao, burdock, and hushowu. Hushowu is the one I mentioned earlier for the blood and the Jing as well. And this one, and of course with CBD, so incredible again for like stress and anxiety, great for pain and inflammation, and then overall balance and building the blood and supporting all the body systems. But like every blend I make, it's also going to support the chi and it's going to support the spirit too. Because it's really important to be supporting all of the levels of energy at the same time. So that's the tincture. And then we make 3 topical products. One is the Phytometamorphosis Cream. And this one is it's deeply hydrating and and great for repair. So this is like save my skin because I tend to be a drier skin, and our partner Judith, who is a formulator and she's also a pharmacist, just really made these incredible blends that are plant-based, but then also bring in the science components of things like stem cells and hyaluronic acid and vitamins and peptides. So we've really blended, you know, the traditional herbal world with the traditional science world and kind of created these products together. And then just like everything that we do, we make it very much in a ceremonial way. So always honoring the plants, chanting mantras, making it with the moon cycles, giving everything a sound bath. So every step of the way, we infuse our love and intention into the creation of them. And
is there something, well, I was just going to say, is there something rose in it?
I was going to say, I wish you guys could smell it. This one smells like rose geranium. Like it's insane.
It is totally insane.
Yeah.
And I would do my nighttime ritual with the sample products I got, and then I would get into bed and my husband would be like, you smell so good.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I don't even put perfume on. I'm just like, let me just put this on.
I know. It's really, really good. It's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And so this has been great. If you're dry and dehydrated at all, it's not heavy. It soaks in, but it like hydrates from inside out. Yeah. So it doesn't feel heavy on the skin.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. And then the eye serum, is that the one with the roller?
Yeah.
I love the roller. It's so weird because I guess I don't use enough products that I never had tried a face roller.
Oh my God.
It's so perfect because they always say be very careful with the skin under your eyes and what you put under there. And it's so easy to be very gentle and then to apply it just right where you need it. I mean,
and it's so cooling. Amazing. It cools everything down. The seaweed and the CBD, and I sometimes put it in the fridge and then roll it under.
Oh, neat.
But like depuffs within 15 minutes. Like it depuffs. It minimizes fine lines, and then it moisturizes around the eye too.
Okay, and then the final product?
And then the final one is the Bliss Renewal, the Serum. Yeah. And this one is, I would say it's probably the hero product of the whole line because it's so reparative. So it smells great too. It's like lavender and clary sage and frankincense. So again, a great smell, but really, I mean, it changes your skin. Like within a few days, like you have a glow. That's the first thing that you see. Pores are like non-existent. And even though we can't claim for this, I can't tell you how different my sun damage. I mean, it's really, given me clarity to my whole skin. Yeah. And it seems like the sun damage has been minimized. And I think that eventually that they'll find that CBD does that.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So you're attributing it to the CBD.
I think so. I mean, we use plants like comfrey, we use chamomile, we use carrot seed, and all these we know are very kind of like youth preserving and hydrating and minimize the signs of aging. But CBD is kind of like a little bit still the great unknown, right? They don't fully know all.
They're still researching, and they're still, it's a big exploration here, but obviously it is an amazing plant that it comes from.
It is
a female plant.
Yeah. And Tracy had a conversation. We actually called up an MD who was doing a lot of research on CBD, and we told him what we were finding with the UV damage, and he was like, I think that we're going to conclude that it actually can help reverse some UV damage, which is huge.
Which is amazing. This has been amazing. There's so much information to pack into such a short amount of time, but I think you did a beautiful job. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
I learned a lot, and the next thing what we'll need to know is how do we find a lot of these herbs. But you can find your products at thegaiaguardian.com and Priya Apotheca, PriyaApotheca.com. So those are the two places I know that we can find you. You can find us at Ellementa.com. That's ELLEMENTA.com. L, French for woman, menta, Spanish for mind, her mind.
Nice.
And we're going to continue these webinars, these gatherings, these bringing together of wisdom that we can share with you, and that you can, you'll be getting a recording in about a week of this. And if you're on our list, you will get access to all previous recordings for all other sessions. So thank you for being here. Everyone, thanks for sticking around. Thank you, Lori, so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I really appreciate it, Lisa.
I appreciate it too. Thank you. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.
Bye.